Hey, what's up? Just another quick video. So first, I'm just doing this on my laptop, and it seems like this has helped using a laptop to do these videos. I can sit down instead of standing. Like I said, my other monitor is 27 inches, and this laptop is actually something like 15 and a half. I know I said something like 14, but 15 and a half. I mean, for reading, it's still a little bit big. So if you're looking for something to read, definitely a 27-inch screen is not what to get to read. A lot of people use tablets to read, but there's times where I'm on the computer and I just kind of want to read, whether it be like a text file or PDF. But that being said, you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but you know, something like this, a 15 and a half, it's still kind of hard to read because you have to kind of read like, where if you had a smaller one, you could kind of read. A good example is this, though. A program, Power Bible CD. Well, usually I don't have that many open, but let's say you had 4 at a time. This is nice and small where I can read. If you do 2, I can show you what that looks like. Well, that's columns. Let's see if we get more like, so that's kind of nice. So I guess it depends what you're using. If you're going to do it for more watching YouTube videos, go with a bigger screen. Otherwise, if you want to do work done as far as what I'm doing, maybe even go smaller than 15 and a half, more like 14. And it seems like it's hard to find a good computer monitor as far as laptops. Laptops, low resolution. And if you want a high resolution, you're paying quite a bit of money, unless you get something that's smaller, a cheaper quality screen. They even have like IPS monitors. And before I lose you, I'm going to move on pretty shortly. But they do have these IPS monitors that if you move the screen, let me say this, the quality differs. So just because you think you're going to get this cheap laptop that has an IPS monitor, doesn't mean that it's always going to be a good screen. So that being said, what I'm doing here is going through these verses and deleting the reference numbers and the book number so I can load it into a computer, well, basically a text file, Control Z, so I can have a computer read this just to save a little time. Not only that, but I don't want to mispronounce something. And again, sometimes I'm not feeling good. So I'm kind of doing that right now. And this video, kind of a long introduction. This video is going to be about evil imagery. Now on YouTube, there's a lot of evil imagery. I don't know what it is, but don't even watch a channel that has, for their YouTube pictures, if they have pictures of devils or something bloody, don't even bother with that channel. In the case, let's say you think the YouTube channel is a Christian and maybe you see it once in a while on their channel, you could maybe talk to that channel. In my case, I'm making the video to make you aware of it. Maybe someone watches this and realizes that they were putting a little bit too much satanic imagery. And what's too much? Well, how about even one picture being too much? Because the Bible says, don't put anything wicked before thine eyes. So if you have, again, there's going to be channels that have a few pictures, and it's probably poor judgment. So, I mean, kind of judge the situation. But if a channel is just doing satanic images, and let's say even if you see like every few videos satanic images, I'm not going to watch a channel. You don't don't even bother. But if you think, okay, this channel's a Christian and it's a couple of videos and they just maybe had bad judgment, I'd bring it up to that channel. And that's kind of like the video I'm doing. So even if you have, let's say, one thumbnail that's kind of really bloody, or like a picture that's, you know, like it just looks kind of evil, get it off. And again, if the channel is just uploading a lot of that imagery, it's in their videos, it's in their thumbnails, you might say, well, it's got good information. It doesn't matter because you're putting all that wicked images before your eyes. Now, in the past, in my videos, sometimes kind of my documentaries years ago covering the music industry and stuff, I had too many wicked images, and I realize that now. I thought at the time, well, I can show people what's going on, and hey, look at all this wicked stuff they're doing, but it doesn't work that way, because people, they have to be born again. In my documentary, I had the musicians, they said they sold their soul to the devil, they said they're possessed with devils, and then they're singing about the devil, and they're singing about all kinds of wicked stuff. Again, these musicians said they sold their soul to the devil, right? You've seen the YouTube videos. And you think that people would see that and, okay, yeah, the music industry is satanic and it looks like they're devil worshippers. But I showed my documentary, and this is years ago, to people, and they couldn't see it. Even though I was showing them all the stuff, all the lyrics, you got to be born again. Let's face it, most of the people are lost out there. They don't have spiritual eyes or ears to hear. But as Christians, for those that have been born again, it's important not to have satanic imagery. Think about it. A lot of people are going on YouTube, and maybe they go to the homepage, right? And they see suggested videos, and in these suggested videos, they're scrolling, and all of a sudden there's a couple pictures that are wicked. And this happens every single day. Not only for these truther channels, maybe, and some of these Christian channels, but also maybe when you're trending videos, right? I think it's best not to even check out the trending videos, because the trending videos, you might think, well, I want to see what's popular, what's happening, but a lot of times it's just something worldly, some music video that looks inappropriate, which it probably is. I just don't click on it. So that's another thing. If you're still watching these worldly music videos to see Illuminati imagery, don't bother, because what you're going to see is people that are in the music video naked, basically, and you're going to hear a bunch of inappropriate things that aren't even worth mentioning right now. And you're doing this so you can just hear someone mention the Illuminati or throw up a pyramid or something. It's not worth it. I mean, the information is out there. People can see. If they can't see something's wrong with the music, well, again, it's a spiritual problem. So this video is more for the Christians out there. And again, just personal experience here, where, me too, like I said, I put too much wicked imagery in some of the videos I made, and I wish I didn't do that now. And sometimes researching this stuff too, like I said, it's a lot of videos on YouTube that they're trying to expose it, and then they're showing too graphic a material, or maybe even explaining in detail, which again I did in past, where it's best to be simple in describing some of this stuff, because it is wicked. People hear it day after day and see these wicked imageries. It's going to cause some damage, I think. So I mean, there's a reason why the Bible says not to set anything wicked before your eyes. And maybe I'll continue until I get this done. So it's really important, okay? And I feel like some people might be listening, but then they're still going to check out some of these channels because they want the information. Or they might feel like, oh, I got to keep up with this. But, I mean, maybe some of you already know what's going on. So a lot of it you already know, and it's maybe keeping up with current events. But, again, you got to be careful here. And if a channel has this wicked imagery, even if it's just a little bit, and they keep uploading wicked imagery once in a while, and you're not sure, maybe you watch a video and then you see something, or maybe you go to their channel and see some wicked imagery. I made a video trying to expose video games, a couple of them actually, and the first video was just terrible. I was trying to show like all the violence and some of the other graphic material. And I don't know what I was thinking. I just showed way too much, and it actually probably did more harm than good. So I have that regret. So, learn from my mistake, and maybe, because you might feel like, well, I'm showing it because I'm making people aware of it to expose it, but then in doing so, you're showing wicked imagery or something that's inappropriate. It's not going to be worth it. And even if you didn't show any pictures, be careful how you explain it too. You don't have to go into graphic detail. Again, there's people, including myself in the past, I'm doing better now, but would go on YouTube and see these wicked images day after day and hear about this wicked stuff. And that was the case for me for years. So take my advice. If you see these wicked images on a YouTube channel, or if they're going into detail, graphic detail, don't even bother. Don't bother watching their channel. You can maybe give the person a warning or tell them, hey, you're doing too much of this. But if they're not going to really listen, or maybe they won't see your message, just move on. That'd be my suggestion. So I think this is sound advice, and I hope people heed it. And again, it's just not my advice. It's coming from the Bible. And I do have personal experience with this, having a YouTube channel, making videos, watching videos, and experiencing some of the stuff. Again, my concern is people are not going to heed the warning, and they're going to still watch these channels because they might want the information, but it's just not going to be worth it if you're going to see all this wicked imagery every day and all this stuff you're going to hear about this wickedness and stuff. Again, the Bible says to be simple in describing this stuff that's happening, and you're not really seeing that too much on YouTube. Again, I was in the past could have done a better job of explaining it more simple. And again, some of the images I wish I never did, right? Like the video game videos and a bunch of other ones, like a lot of them. The music ones were kind of difficult. So towards my last documentary about the movies, it was 11 hours, and I tried better this time of not showing so much wicked imagery. But when you've been saturated with this wicked imagery for years, maybe watching the movies, in my case, I realized, okay, I don't want to show too much here, but you almost get desensitized it through video games maybe, and the movies, where I didn't think I was showing that much in the movies, yet there's a few clips, and it's 11-hour film, so it's kind of a long one, but there's a few clips where I shouldn't have shown. So there's a few clips in the few clips in the 11-hour video where it was still too much, where I was trying to keep it more clean, but it's still. So you gotta be really. You gotta think about what you're watching here, and if you are making videos, gotta really consider what you're putting out there on YouTube, because you might have a video, and you never know. Maybe the video goes a little viral, and instead of just like 50 people see it, a couple thousand people see it or something, and now a couple thousand people, you just showed some violent image or something like that. So again, you're having, in my case, where I did that, and I might have had, my intentions weren't to do that. Again, I was trying to expose it, but then what I ended up happening was I was showing people these wicked images, and it just wasn't good. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you some good advice here, and hopefully you can heed the warning. And I think this is an important video I do, because I feel like there probably are a lot of people that are watching this video that are putting wicked stuff before their eyes. Maybe they don't watch too much TV, but if you're watching TV too, watch out for those commercials. I mean, the commercials, you might be watching a show that you might think, well, this show maybe it's just education show, and the education show, the commercials they have something and you might not even see it, right? Sometimes it's hard to pick up on commercials sometimes because they move so fast, like TV does. So just consider what you're putting before your eyes, and you're gonna have to want to make that change. And it might again, let's say you realize now that you were maybe watching too much wicked stuff. It might take a little time to get away from it, but the best thing would to be get away from it right away. So I would just get away from it right away, and if you do click on a video or two that you're not supposed to, just make sure you try not to do that. Okay, I mean, because what might happen is you click on it and then, well, I just clicked on this one, or I'm just checking this channel out, and then the next day you check out the channel again, and then you might think, well, I'll check it, and then all of a sudden you're checking out the channel again, or you're checking out these videos, or maybe you're watching these videos over again, and all of a sudden then you're watching the movies and commercials again, and it's to get away from it. And like I said, sometimes it takes time. In my case, the movies took a little bit of time not the movies, the video games took some time to get away from. I guess I was never into movies that much. And part of the reason why I did the documentary was to warn about movies, but I guess video games I was always more into. But same goes with the music. The music, they're singing about evil stuff. You need, as a Christian, you need to get away from that. The worldly music, and that includes worldly Christian music, like they play on the radio. Most of the radio. I'm not trying to say like but the mainstream, mostly it goes under, they call it contemporary music, but that's just what it goes under. But if it's these big artists, Christian artists, and they're famous and they get millions of views, and they're get millions of sales, and they're big artists, and they sound just like the mainstream artist of the world, well, that should be a good indicator. And also because I know there's a lot of Christians too that are listening to this worldly music, and they say it's Christian music, but just because someone says it's Christian, I realize they might not be swearing in there, and there might not be some stuff, but a lot of it's still the same. It's appealing to the flesh. It's a worldly music with a beat, and again, if you just listen to if you took out the lyrics of some of these songs and you just listen to the instruments or the beats, it would sound just like mainstream music, the worldly music. And just because they say it's Christian, well, doesn't mean that you should be listening to it. And you have to examine the lyrics too. So what they're saying is important too. So again, I thought this video was needed. I'm not going to go on too much longer. I think I addressed it and what I want to say. So I think that's about it. And again, if you're having to save those Christians that are listening, if you're having difficulty with this, pray about it. So pray to God that you can, for those Christians listening, pray to God that if you really mean it, you could, pray to God, I want to get away from this stuff. What it would be, maybe you have a problem watching these worldly movies, pray to God about it. I did in the past where I prayed about something and said, God, I don't want to like this. Just get to the point where, I want to get to the point where I don't like it. Almost get me to the point where I, hate it even. And if you really mean it, and if you're willing, God will, for those Christians out there, God will help you to get away from this stuff. Again, it might take some time. In my case, some of the stuff took longer. Some of the stuff took less time. But, eventually, if you really mean it and are willing, God will get you there. And He'll help you get away from this stuff, whether it be, again, the mainstream Hollywood movies, the worldly music, or even if it be video games or something like that. You know, the things of the world, the stuff that's popular with the world. God will help you get away from those stuff. So that's about it. And thanks for watching. And again, consider what I said. And it's not coming from me. It's what the Bible says. Not to put anything wicked before thine eyes. So consider and think about what you're putting before your eyes.